Forests, Our Lifeline. A forest is a biotic component of ecosystem spread over a large tract of uncultivated land and is predominantly composed of trees, shrubs, herbs and climbers. As a general rule, broadleaf forests, mostly angiosperms, have more diversity than needle-leaf forest gymnosperms. The forest type largely depends on the amount of precipitation. It ranges between 100 mm in Rajasthan to 10,000 mm in Meghalaya per annum. In the last 100 years, utilization of forest products has gone up manyfold to meet the growing demands for wood and timber. Excessive felling of forest trees because of setting up of industries, building of roads, cities and for cultivation is very common. Deforestation poses serious threat to our economy, quality of life and environment. However, the Indian State of Forest Report ISFR 2021, the total forest and tree cover in India was 80.9 million hectares. It represents an increase of 2,261 square kilometer in the total forest and tree cover over the assessment done in 2019. State-wise, largest forest cover is found in the states of Madhya Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Maharashtra. Forest cover as percentage of the geographical area is high in the following states: Mizoram 85%, Arunachal Pradesh 80%, Meghalaya 76%, Manipur 75%, Nagaland 75%. We must continue our hard work of spreading awareness and planting more trees to reach the goal of 33% forest cover as per the National Forest Policy. Our core concerns that remain are: India has only 2% of the world forest area. We have 16% of the world's population and 18% of the world's cattle population. Types of forest in India. India has a wide variety of forests, from evergreen tropical rainforests of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, northeastern states and western Ghats to xerophytic scrub forests in arid zones of Rajasthan to dry alpine forests of the Himalayas. The forests in India have been divided into 16 major groups. They are home to over 89,000 species of animals and about 46,000 species of plants. The forest cover of India can be summarized in a pie graph as given below. Forest structure. The dense forest consists of distinct horizontal layers. These are canopy, understory and forest floor. Canopy. The canopy is the uppermost level of a forest formed by the crowns of trees. The crown of a tree is the branches and leaves above the main trunk. Tree crowns are of different shapes and sizes. The canopy layer is formed by the largest trees. This layer is very crowded and blocks out most of the sunlight in the forest. It also acts as windbreaker. The canopy is the densest layer and home to unique flora and fauna. Understory. The understory layer lies between the canopy and the forest floor. This layer is home to a number of birds, snakes, lizards as well as predators such as jaguars and leopards. The leaves are much larger at this level. A wide range of insects are also found. Only about 5% of the sunlight shining on the forest reaches the understory. Forest understories also have higher humidity than the exposed areas. Forest floor. The forest floor layer receives only 2% of sunlight. The forest floor has almost no vegetation because of the low sunlight penetration. Only plants adapted to low light can grow in this region. Many forms of fungi grow here which help in decaying of dead animals and plants, thus converting them into dark colored organic matter. This forms the humus. Importance of forests. Forests are storehouse of biodiversity and provide important support system for mankind. The key functions of forests can be listed as follows. Functions of forests. Productive. Production of timber, fodder, medicinal plants, resins, oils, gums, latex, alkaloids, honey, fruits, spices, rubber, paper and cotton. Protective. Conservation of soil and water, prevention of drought and flood, protection against strong wind, cold, radiation and noise, provides shelter to wildlife and facility for grazing cattle. Regulatory. Regulates floods and drought, temperature, water cycle, carbon cycle, absorption, storage and release of gases CO2, O2. Conservation of water, mineral elements. Accessory. Preserve the aesthetic beauty of nature and forests are sites of recreation, tour and travel. Productive function. Traditionally, wood has a large number of applications in domestic and industrial processes. Wood, when used as a fuel, has an advantage over coal as its sulfur and ash content are very low. Forests provide the raw material for building, making paper and for furniture. However, we must remember to cut down on the above uses. Other uses are in match industry, fiber and rubber industries. Our forests are home to several kinds of plants which are used to make medicines. Plants such as neem, eucalyptus, amla and cassava are used for making oil and several Ayurvedic medicines. Cinchona tree provides the alkaloid quinine, an important medicine for treating malaria. A variety of grasses such as kevra, khas and lemongrass are sources of several kinds of essential oils. Sandalwood, pine, camphor and eucalyptus also give us oil. Forests are a source of resins that are used to make varnish and paint. Latex is used to make rubber. Protective function. Forests provide habitat to a large number of plants and diverse wildlife. Animals like jackals, elephants, wild bear and grey langur live in the denser part of the forest. Forests act as windbreakers and shield against strong wind. The speed of wind gets reduced and this helps in reducing blowing away of topsoil. Roots of trees bind the soil and check soil erosion. The vast stretch of trees planted properly along roads and highways decrease noise pollution and reduce indoor pollution in nearby homes. Shade of trees reduces air conditioning cost in residential areas by 15 to 20%. Regulatory function. Forests clean the atmosphere by using carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen during photosynthesis. All animals use the oxygen for respiration and so the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the environment is maintained. Forests also prevent air pollution and global warming by reducing carbon dioxide in air. In 1 year, an acre of mature trees can absorb the carbon dioxide produced by a car that has driven 40,000 kilometers. Forests protect us from flood. An intact forest canopy softens the impact of intense rainfall by trapping and absorbing it and slowly releasing it. Rainwater is absorbed by the humus present in the forest floor, then it seeps into the subsoil and finally moves underground, thus recharging the groundwater. The root system of plants also greatly help in water percolation. It serves as a watershed, a topography controlled system that decides how water will flow. The Amazon is the largest watershed and largest river system in the world. Hill slopes with forest cover conserve water and gradually release it into streams, rivers and lakes. Forests help to increase the humidity of the atmosphere by releasing large amounts of water back to atmosphere by means of transpiration. Forests regulate the Earth's temperature and weather cycle. Accessory function. Trees make a house more beautiful and increase its value, and so is the case with forests. Forests are a good place for camping, outdoor recreations and for holiday destinations. Forests are supposed to be nature's laboratories which have contributed to the study and research in various branches of natural science. Overuse of natural resources. Using various natural resources optimally and giving them time to get renewed is called resource conservation. This leads to sustainable use of resources so that the future generation do not suffer. For example, overdrawing of underground water can only lead to desertification of the land. However, if enough time for recharge of underground water is allowed, we can achieve sustainability. Minerals are a non-renewable resource because it takes many thousands of years to form. Reducing wastage and recycling can make it a sustainable resource. A change in habit, for example, using biogas instead of wood and coal to cook food also achieves the goal of sustainability and it provides clean energy too. A very effective way of conserving resources is when people become responsible. Each of them contribute by reducing consumption, practicing recycling and reusing different things. Forest, a sustainable ecosystem. In nature, the organisms are in constant interaction with the physical environment. This includes the plants, producers, and the animals, consumers. Physical factors such as availability of water, light, and type of soil are very important for the plants and animals. When a healthy interdependence begins to happen and sustains, it begins to function like a system. Such a system is referred to as ecosystem. Forests form a part of the ecosystem. These are self-sustaining and self-regulatory units of nature. The interactions among organisms in the forest ecosystem is depicted in the form of food chain. Food chain involves transfer of energy through the process of eating and being eaten. You have learned that all green plants trap solar energy and convert it into chemical energy which is stored as carbohydrate. These plants transfer their energy to animals called herbivores after being eaten. The plant eaters may in turn be eaten by other animals called carnivores, and in this way energy is transferred at all levels. The transfer of energy through a series of organisms, each feeding on the preceding organisms, is called food chain. Many such food chains are found in forests that are interlinked to form food web. The association of plants and animals in food chains or food webs is delicate. If any member in a food chain is affected, all others will get affected, which will disturb the balance of nature. A sustainable ecosystem ensures balance in nature. When plants and animals die, they form food for the saprotrophs, referred to as decomposers. Decomposers feed upon dead animals and plant tissues and convert them into a dark colored substance called humus. Thus, the nutrients of dead plants and animals are released into the soil, which are absorbed by the plants in the forest, making the ecosystem sustainable. It makes the forest a dynamic living entity. Conservation of forests. Forests have been extensively exploited by human beings during the last few centuries. The felling of trees are at much faster pace than their natural replacement. The increase in world's human population has posed serious threat to the forests. Forests are being converted into residential, agricultural, and industrial locations. Mass-scale felling of trees is called deforestation. This has led to the destruction of the habitat of several plant and animal species. There is therefore an urgent need for the forests to be managed, conserved, and replenished. Sensitizing the society. Apart from nationwide awareness program such as One Mahotsav, a lot of work need to be done at the local level with the stakeholders. Joint forest management is a great initiative in this direction. This refers to the model of forest management by involving the local people in reforestation, protection of degraded forests, and to share with them the sustainable benefits from these forests. The involvement of people is ensured through village forest councils. Following measures should be taken for forest conservation. Trees cut down for timber or other uses should be replaced by planting of more trees, afforestation, so that there is no scarcity in future. A forest should have correct proportion of trees of different ages so that exploitable produce is available at regular intervals. Use of fuel wood should be discouraged. Biogas should be employed for cooking. Social forestry program should be encouraged. Under this program, the so-called wastelands should be utilized to produce firewood, fodder and timber. This program is very useful to the rural community. The annual deforestation must be followed by annual reforestation of deforested areas. Government and communities should take steps to plant trees on large scale. This process is called afforestation and its rate should be increased 3 times the existing rate. Forest fires should be controlled by fire breakers. Use of anti-fire solutions must be encouraged. Overgrazing by cattle should be controlled and checked regularly. Case study: a forest in Orissa. Since the year 1951, the quantity of degraded land in India has more than doubled. However, certain communities have done great work towards restoration of degraded forests. Communities in Orissa now take care of over 1,000 small and large forests. An excellent example is Bhinjgiri Protected Forest in Puri district. Surrounded by villages, this 360-acre forest was completely degraded in the years 1967 to 70. The ponds were full of sediments and streams had dried up. All the villages surrounding Bhinjgiri united and put a control on tree cutting. Very soon, the streams had water in them, which lasted for few months after the monsoon. Ponds were cleared and fisheries began to have better productivity. Positive results in one such forest encouraged many other communities. Science in the vicinity. Plants take carbon out of the atmosphere through the process of photosynthesis. After plants die, microbes can release some carbon from dead plants, but largely the carbon stays in the soil. Forests are called carbon sinks because they absorb more carbon than they release. Forest fires destroy the biodiversity of a forest. They release harmful pollutants including microparticulate matter and many toxic gases into the atmosphere. The toxic gases can be fatal for plants and animals. It causes distress to people who live near the forest as they are in many cases displaced. The long-term effects of forest fires include destruction of ecology of the area, which takes years to rebuild. In urban areas, end-to-end concrete pavements lead to near complete absorption and radiation of heat. It drastically increases environmental temperature. The hot environment makes us consume more electricity by running air coolers and air conditioners. This further affects the environment negatively and increasing our carbon footprint.